will be sent to all of you. नमस्ते एंड गुड मॉर्निंग टू ऑल ऑफ यू। उम्मीद करता है कि आप सब अच्छी तरह से रह रहा होगा। देखो,
Good morning, sir.
good morning. This morning also
Good morning, sir.
I will be continuing with the modern period geographical thought. But हम ये आज का लेक्चर शुरू होने से पहले एक बार देख लेता है कल क्या डिस्कशन किया था हमने। कल हम डिस्कशन किया था मॉडर्न पीरियड एंड उसमें हम डिस्कशन किया था जर्मन स्कूल ऑफ थॉट। जर्मन स्कूल ऑफ थॉट में हम ऐसा दो बहुत महान आदमी को कहानी पढ़ा, लाइक क्या था, बर्नार्ड वनरस्ट एंड इमैनुअल कांट। देखो, जर्मन स्कूल ऑफ थॉट है बहुत मॉडर्न पीरियड में बहुत महान बन जाता है एंड देन देर उस लोग का कंट्रीब्यूशन बहुत बहुत बड़ा होता है। एंड देन इस पीरियड है 1705 टू 1805 में हुआ था एंड देन इसको दो बात में बताया हुआ है। वन इज प्री क्लासिकल फेज पे एंड प्री क्लासिकल फेज में क्या हुआ था। प्री क्लासिकल फेज पे दो महान स्कॉलर्स था, वो है बर्नार्ड एंड इमैनुअल कांट। ये दोनों कोशिश किया था कि ज्योग्राफी को एक सिस्टमेटिक सब्जेक्ट बनाने के लिए एंड साइंटिफिक सब्जेक्ट बनाने के लिए कोशिश किया था। एंड देन सेकेंड फेज में उसको हम क्या बोलता है कि उसको क्लासिकल फेज में हम देखा कि बहुत सारे जर्मन स्कॉलर्स ने कंट्रीब्यूशन किया था एंड कोशिश किया था कि ज्योग्राफी को एक वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग फाउंडेशन दिलाने के लिए एक कोशिश किया था इस लोग ने। तो लाइक स्कॉलर्स लाइक अलेक्जेंडर वन हम्बोल्ट, कार्ल राइटर, ये दोनों बहुत अच्छा तरीका से महान कंट्रीब्यूशन किया था मॉडर्न ज्योग्राफी में। एंड देन इस लोग ये दोनों स्कॉलर्स को हम क्या करता है, ज्योग्राफर्स उसको बोलता है कि फाउंडर ऑफ द मॉडर्न ज्योग्राफी भी कहलाता है। तो हम बहुत अदर स्कॉलर्स लाइक फ्रेडरिक राइजल का भी देखा था, वो उसका कंट्रीब्यूशंस जियोपॉलिटिक्स में बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग था, उसका फाउंडेशन था, which is very much influential during the Second World War period में। तो ऐसा ही करके हम कल फिनिश हुआ था। देखो, आज मॉडर्न पीरियड कंटिन्यू करता है। यहाँ पे हम फ्रेंच स्कूल ऑफ थॉट का थोड़ा चर्चा करेंगे यहाँ पे। तो पहले before we start, let us talk about what is a French school of thought. A French school of thought is just like a German school of thought. यहाँ पे हर geographers and along with other scholars ने contribution किया था कि geography को कैसा strong foundation बनाए। तो सबसे पहले हम देखता है कि फिलिप्स बंच ने क्या किया। फिलिप्स बंच एक स्कॉलर, ऐसा स्कॉलर थी in France. इसने his physiographic systems, especially his contributions comes in the physical geography में बहुत अच्छा तरीका से उसका contribution था। And according to him, geography can only be studied through natural regions demarcated on the earth's surface. तो physical geography का साथ साथ वो थोड़ा regional का तरफ भी उसका emphasis किया था। तो his physiographic system, he divided the earth's surface into 4 basins separated by the scaffoldings of mountain range, overland, and beneath the oceans. He applied this theory. His theory, matlab, this theory 4 basin theory, particularly in interpreting the geography of North America and the Pacific Oceans. So उसका जानकारी ज़्यादा सा, उसका contribution ज़्यादा सा है North America में and Pacific Oceans का बारे में ज़्यादा contribution किया था इसने। Brush was also the pioneer in the using of the control lines. Control lines तो क्या है हम सबको पता है। Control lines, बिना control lines is very difficult, for us to understand the elevations of any reliefs maps and any reliefs in the map. So उसका contribution इतना ही था। Physical geography में इसने contribution किया था। इसने अर्थ को चार तरफ से डिवीजन किया था, उसने कंट्रीब्यूशन किया था, उसका मोर एम्फेसिस ज़्यादा एम्फेसिस दिया हुआ था नॉर्थ अमेरिका एंड पैसिफिक ओशंस पे एंड कंट्रोल लाइंस भी चलते थे। The next scholars in French school of thoughts में ऐसा है कि जैक्विन्स एलिसी रिकोस्ट, इसने क्या किया, उसका कंट्रीब्यूशन देखता है। He was a renowned French geographer, prolific writer and anarchist. So over a period of 20 years उसने क्या किया, he involved in writing world regional geography, popularly known as a novelist, geographic, university and physical geography. तो उसका contribution यहाँ पे भी देख सकता है कि French geographers like Jacquin has also contributed towards the physical geography and also the regional geography. So you know अभी अभी देख रहे हैं, देखो धीरे धीरे from ancients to the modern period हम देख रहे हैं कि geography को एक system में ले आ रहा है, इस system में ले आ रहा है, like geographers, जितना भी geographers हम अभी चर्चा कर रहे हैं ये सब इस system पे geography को strong foundation बना रहा है। तो in his regional geography, इसने लिखा है कि deal with the description of the geographic features like rivers, mountains in various countries across continents. These implications was profoundly illustrated with maps and plans and designs. So Vidal de la Blache, one of the most popular among the French school of thought. Vidal de la Blache का नाम सुनता तो हम क्या याद आता है, that is a possibilisms. So Blache was regarded as the father of human geography. यहाँ पे थोड़ा ये human geography का father भी कहलाता है उसको, and the propounder of the possibilisms. He is a strong supporter of a possibilisms. Later on in the next class, we will be discussing about the environmental possibilisms and environmental determinisms का, you know, ये दोनों का dichotomy का भी थोड़ा चर्चा करेंगे next sections पे। तो विदाल de la Blache को कहलाता है father of human geography भी कहलाता है and the strong supporter of the possibilisms. Some of his work like regional geography of the world, geography of France, ये सब में उसने ये ideas, especially the possibilisms का idea लागू किया। So in 81, he founded a new professional called a periodical known as the Annals of the Geography for publication of the best geographical writings. Now see, अभी देखो, if we look at the present context, अभी present context में देखेंगे तो you know there are n numbers of periodicals. Like periodicals का मतलब है यहाँ पे क्या है, journal जैसी ही है periodical. तो you know 1891 पे इसने foundation एक journal निकाला, उसको नाम है Annals of Geography. On October 2 February, on 2nd February 99, while delivering his first lecture at Sorbonne University, he stressed upon the relationship between man and his immediate surroundings, which could best be studied in small homogeneous area. In France, such homogeneous areas are known as space. यहाँ पे शुरू होता है उसका possibilisms का ideas, यहाँ पे शुरू होता है। देखो यहाँ पे वो शुरू हो गया कि you know in his first lecture he was talking about the man and environment relationships. So Vidal de la Blache was a strong opponent and critic of the environmental determinists. वो तो बहुत उसका opposition करता है environmental determinist को, and he was influenced by the writing of the Razalt and from a second volume of Anthropologist with Anthropogeography. Vidal de la Blache advocated the concern of possibilisms as posted by Weber. So he is very critical about the writings of Razalt. Razalt is a strong, you know, determinisms, determinist, environmental determinist. Now, and then, you know, Razalt का, you know, oppose किया था उसने, okay, whatever he has written in the Anthropogeography में देखा है, उसमें oppose किया था, and then he advocated the possibilisms. So according to him, Vidal de la Blache, you know, according to him, nature set a limit. Nature its limit देता है and also offers the opportunities. ये नहीं कि nature सब dominating करता है, but nature also offers opportunities for human settlement. But the way men react or reject, adjust to this given condition depends on his traditional way of living. So यहाँ पे इसने देखो इसने एक provision ले आया. He said that nature क्या है और क्या है opportunities भी देता है और limitation भी देता है, and how to overcome this limitation depends on the traditions. It depends on the life. I mean, depends on the culture of the human beings. The culture of the human being क्या है तो ये it is about the lifestyle of the human being. So it depends completely on the lifestyle of the human. Laplace insists that human being joins in nature's game, and the environment, external environment, was a partner, not a slave to human activities. So यहाँ पे this very sentence is very strong. ये sentence बहुत strong है and very relevant even in the present society. Today आज क्या है हम बहुत चर्चा हो रहा है कि environmental degradations. आपका side some of you may be doing on environment also. अभी हम चर्चा कर रहा है कि सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट, राइट, सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट. तो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट अचीव करने के लिए हम क्या करना पड़ेगा, हम रेस्पेक्ट करना पड़ेगा नेचर, रेस्पेक्ट करना पड़ेगा हमारा सराउंडिंग्स को. ये नहीं कि ह्यूमन बीइंग्स आर द डोमिनेंट वन. यहाँ पे क्लियरली मेंशन किया गया ह्यूमन बीइंग जॉइंस द नेचर गेम. ये नहीं कि हम master of the nature. ऐसा नहीं. ब्लश ने कहा कि we join the nature games, and nature, especially the external environment, हमारा जितना भी environment ये हमारा partner है and ये हमारा slave नहीं कह सकता है. तो ब्लश ने pointed out that same environment has different meaning to different people with different way of living. यही तो होता है. The same environment हो सकता है, but the meaning can be different. It can different from different people based on the lifestyle. So the lifestyle is basic factors in determining which of the various possibilities offered by nature, particularly human group, will select. So it depends now. Environment and opportunity provide करता है हम सबको, and how to use it. How to use it depends on our lifestyle. So India में देखो अभी example एक देना चाह रहा है. India is a very diverse country. A diverse country होने के बाद still there is an adjustment. अपना अपना lifestyle जी रहा है. अपना अपना region पे अपना अपना the way we interact with our environment. It depends on the lifestyle of the persons settled in that region. So यहाँ पे ब्लश ने clearly mention किया है कि how to determine, how to use this environment, how to use the offer that the environment gives us depends on our culture. Vidal de la Blanche's books like Tabula de la Geography de la French was a very good additional to the literature of geography. He attempted to harmonize blending physical and human features in the tabula, that means the French plateau. The book deals with the recognizable regional unit of France, one by one, and shows that each faced its own distinctive agriculture due to its soils and water supplies, and also due to the economic specializations made possible by the demands of people living there. Now he is talking about यहाँ पे वो बोलना चाह रहा है कि how people adjust with the environment. The environment means physical and then non-physical environment. All right, and he has come up with a concept like pay. So what is the pay? We have already seen. So the pay also depends on what? Depends on soil and water supply, and also the economic specializations, so that it made possible by the demand of people living in the town. So Blanche monumental work, Human Geography, was posthumously published in 1921 as he died suddenly in 1918 and partially completed work, Human Geography, was given final shape by the Emmanuel D. Morton, son-in-law of Vidal de la Blas. So Vidal de la Blas का contribution इतना से शीश होता है, but he is, remember that he is a strong supporter of the possibilisms. He has contributed a lot towards the human geography. इसीलिए उसको कहलाता है the father of human geography. इसमें, he talk about the pace in the sense like a regions, okay. But suddenly he died. कंप्लीट करने से पहले उसका वो मर गया. The next school of thought will be the British school of thought. यहाँ पे हम थोड़ा चर्चा करेंगे मैकेंडर का बारे में. When we talk about the Mackinder, Alphonse Mackinder, ये बहुत famous geographer British, especially in Britain and the developing countries पे, developed countries पे. And उसका contribution ऐसा हुआ था कि उसका बहुत influence हो गया था, influential writer था उसमें. ये Mackinder बहुत influential writer है. So Mackinder is known as the father of British School of Geography. और देखेंगे कि क्यों उसको कहलाता है British father of British School of Geography. He considered geography as a bridge between the humanities and natural science, between history and geology. He applied these concepts to the interpretation of the political world affairs. So उसका writing, उसका main motive भी था ऐसा था कि उसको थोड़ा सा political affairs में भी writing था. Actually, there is a very famous writing about him. We will see later. In the early year of the 20th century, Mackinder put forth argument that history without geography is more anecdote than analyzed. So, see, यहाँ पे उसने बोल रहा है कि without history without geography is nothing. History separately नहीं पढ़ पाएगा. History को geography का साथ जाना पड़ेगा. Just like some of the scholars in the earlier years have said about the link connection, strong connection between the history and geography. So you have maybe Mackinder with the same view. So in 1902, he introduced the concept, geographical pivot of history. आप सब ये तो पढ़ चुका होगा in PGS, and this is very important, concepts, also known as the heartland theory, to which he proposed a geographical model for the world dominations. So यहाँ पे देखो, Mackinder has lived between 1861 to 1947. So this is the period, this is the period where the world political affair is full of, uncertainty. There can be a war anytime, and there are countries, they are expanding. They are expanding like result ने उसका theory दिया था ना, right? Social Darwinism. So there are big countries, powerful countries, they are doing the expansions. So he has lived in that period, and this is a very critical time in the world, during 1861 to 47. And then he has come out with the heartland theory. Heartland theory में क्या बोला? Given that the major power of the world in 1902 was Europeans, and that the military power of the United States and other states in the Western Hemisphere was not yet evident. तो यहाँ पे उसका main idea है कि ज़्यादा सा importance European countries को दिया और ignore किया United States and other Western countries को ignore किया. Mackinder based his theory on controlling the world islands. इसने एक visualize किया था world island कह के, okay. He has come out with the idea of world islands, and now any country who controlled these world islands will be a superpower. So these world islands is believed to consist of the Eurasia and Africa. So the most inaccessible part of the world, he called heartland. This is an area of low populations and difficult accessibility. So this is the maps of the Mackinder. Mackinder ऐसा visualize किया था. Pivot area मतलब heartland area हो गया, right? He summarized his view on the global strategies in the following lines. So who rules East Europe commands heartland. Who rules heartland commands the world islands. Who rules the world islands commands the world. So यहाँ पे, he has come out with a strategy, saying that a person or a country that rules the East Europe can be a commander of the heartland. Heartland को जो conquer किया, ये बन सकता है world island. I mean the master of world island. And the person who rule world islands will command the world. So superpower हो जाएगा. So this is the idea, the idea he has put forward. At the end of First World War, Mackinder argued forcefully from the creations of the buffer state. Buffer state तो क्या है आप सबको पता है. Buffer state in order to keep German and Russian separated. ये डर था कि if German and Russia एक साथ हो जाएगा तो difficult हो जाएगा दूसरी countries के लिए. तो वो ऐसा ideas निकाला था कि buffer zone should be met between German and the Russia. He was concerned with the potential of an alliance between these two powers that could allow them to control the heartland and then to the world. तो उसने डर था, he was apprehensive. उसको डर था कि कि ये दोनों जोर लेगा तो they will start controlling the heartland. And when they control the heartland, इसका मतलब they will control the world islands, and the person who control the world islands will control the world. So Mackinder declared that throughout the history of mankind, the coastal lands has always been proof vulnerable to attack from the heartlands, and the heartlands remains invulnerable because sea power could be denied access to it. So a statement बहुत important है उसका statement. He repeated the same view in 1943, a few years before he died during the Second World War. Despite the environmental determinism inherent, Mackinder is also a supporter of the environmental determinism. In much of the Mackinder's geopolitical writings, the simplicity of the heartland concept was played influential part in the Western geopolitical thinking concerning the MH, except expansionist USSR. Now, most of his writing, because he is from the British, and the British and the United USSR, they were not having a good relationship. So in most of his writing, he is talking about the threat of the expansions of the USSR. When we talk about the geopolitical, today geopolitical is one of the most important concept in geography. And as a geographer, as a research fellow or PhD scholars, you should always think about these things like geopolitics. What is geopolitics happening? Geopolitics between India and China, geopolitics between India and Nepal, geopolitics between India and Myanmar, geopolitics between India and Pakistan. Yes, of geopolitics. So we geographers have to play a very important role as a geographers. हम सब बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट रोल प्ले करना बहुत जरूरी है. ये सब जियो पॉलिटिक्स क्यों हो रहा है, कैसा हो रहा है, ये सब हमारा पास जानकारी होना जरूरी है. So Mackinder's theory may have influenced Western powers. Strategic thinking during the Cold War between the Soviet Union and the United States, as the Soviet Union has control over the former East Bloc countries. Mackinder wrote Britain's and the British Sea in 1902. Another great work of Mackinder is The Democratic Ideal and Reality in 1990s. So let's talk about American school of thought. We have 10 minutes left. We will try to complete it. The first thing is that W.M. Morris. W. Boris Davids. इसका contribution से लगभग most of this contribution is in physical geography. He was who founded the science of geomorphology, the study of landforms. His meteorological studies give us the rise in elementary meteorological, which was used as a college text for more than 30 years. Because he specialized, his specialization is not only in geomorphology. पीजी स्टूडेंट्स थे तो आपको पता है कि जियोमॉर्फोलॉजिस्ट में W.M. Davids का तो बहुत फेमस होता है, हम बहुत पढ़ा है. So, but apart from that, he is very well known in meteorology also. So in 1870s, his interest turned to the study of landform and publications of the rivers and valleys of the Peninsula. 1889 laid the foundations of the division systems of landscape analysis, perhaps his most significant contributions towards physical geography. 1877 पे उसका contribution था. While he was doing observations in Montana, he developed the theory of cycle of erosions, which he defined geomorphological cycle. So he has presented his ideas in International Geographical Congress 1899 पे. वहाँ पे he was talking about the landform that is formed in the cycle of erosions. Cycle of erosions में जो landforms होता है उसका बारे में उसने discussion किया था. But these Davids and all those scholars which we have discussed, they were influenced greatly by the Darwin's idea of the origin. तो यहाँ पे भी डेविड्स का वर्क में भी उसका इन्फ्लुएंस है. Like see, Darwin's work on the origin of atolls and their idol regarding the slow transformations of biological species over time inspired American geographer, like W.M. Davids, to develop his own cycle of erosions. So on the basis of Darwin's studies, he also developed his own cycle of erosion. And यहाँ पे cycle of erosions पे, when we talk about a cycle of erosions, we come to know that the rivers go through different stages. That means young, it's covered mature, it's covered old, and then rejuvenations take place. So they considered even this cycle of erosions, the idea of cycle of erosions in the way like the living organisms go. Unlike Darwin, Davids took his illustration not far from species or the populations, but from the individuals, that is, isolate landforms. Derivation concepts like cycle of erosion was inspired by the central idea of origin of the species. Like I was telling you in the beginning, ये उसका inspiration मेरा था origin of the species पे. Regarding species, change in the species through times and divisions, geomorphology adapted the same thing, biological analogy, same thing agents to the development of landforms. ऐसा ही उसने एक किया. Sample का बारे में थोड़ा discussion करेंगे. She is a strong supporter of environmental determinists. Okay. And the only female geographer, I should say, during this whole modern period, you will come across, that she is the only female geographer, very famously known. And she's a student of the Razzles and very, fond of the Razzles write-ups. So she introduced, Razzles anthropogeography in America. She is responsible for that. And she has, traveled a lot with the, same ideas of environmental determinisms. His influentials of geographical environment and American history were influenced by the work of Razzle. So, as I was telling you, ये बहुत बड़ा Razzle का fan है, and even in all her work, Razzle's ideas influenced उसका है. She presented her visions on the first volume, like anthropogeography में, and the influence of the same thing, like 1911 पे उसका book निकाला, वो उसका भी Razzle का influence बहुत था. So in her book, in the introduction remark, ये पढ़ना बहुत जरूरी है. Man is a product of Earth's surface. इसने बोला कि हम, we men are a product of Earth's surface. This means not merely that he is a child of the Earth, dust of her dust, but that the Earth has murdered him, fed him, give him tax, directed his thought, confronted him with difficulties, and have strengthened bodies and sharpened his wit. given him his problems of navigation. So यहाँ पे entirely his write-up, the introduction part of his book is all about a determinist view. Samples in the final phase of her life, she was writing about the geography of Mediterranean, and she was a good teacher and a very influential teacher. And most of these geographers of the Americans were students of the uh, sample. Another very famous, important, American geographer is Huntington. He's the student of the dates, and Huntington was an environmental determinist who tried to explain the style of human life. The same ideas has come down here also. Environmental determinist था उसका idea है human life कैसा होना है वो तो depends on the natural environment. इसे he developed a hypothesis that the great outpouring of the nomadic people, like especially the migrations, he was in his hypothesis is we're talking about the migrations, like nomad people from Central Asia, which led to the Mongol conquerors of India and China. Yes, sir, he was talking about on the basis of the environment, migration on the basis of the environment. He explained his this hypothesis in his book, Process of Asia. So the principle of human geography in 1920 he published the principle of human geography. यहाँ पे भी he talked about become popular not only with the student of geography but was also widely read by historians. So this was one of his biggest contributions towards the geography. And in the according to Huntington, see the temperature of 30 degrees. So his entire write up is environmental determinism. 20-degree and variable atmospheric conditions like that of temperature cyclone, temperate cyclones, weather are ideal for high mental, um, physical efficiency. Such climatic and weather conditions are found in the countries like West, Northeast Europe and Northeast USA. So he was talking about how this environment or how the temperature influence the human physics, the human's capacity to think, and human's development. So he was talking about, this is the reason why the Europeans are so advanced in science and technology because they have a very suitable, temperature. So his contribution is basically mostly towards the environmental determinisms. So this is, we will sum up from here. The time is already over, and after yeah, okay, after 5 minutes again, I already send you the link. Link भेजा हुआ है. Also आपको please